What's up, everyone?
Hey guys.
Yeah, I'm leaving it. I'm gonna leave it.
All right, go.
No, you do the intro now.
No.
What is
Hey
this?
guys,
What is this?
we're gonna talk about Craig.
No, wait. You got what's the name of the podcast?
This is Betamax.
That's right,
sir.
What's up, everyone? This is Betamax.
Sweating, dude.
It's fucking hot, dude.
Your job is hard.
This is Betamax. My name is Fidel. My name is Fidel, and joining me on this episode is Eddie,
Why am I
the
sweating
interrupter.
all of a sudden, dude?
Because it's fucking hot, dude.
Yeah, but
It's already off the rails. Fuck it. Let's keep going. So on this episode, we're going to be talking about directors. What the fuck?
one director.
Delusional, dude. One director by the name of Stephen Craig Zahler.
That's what the S stands for?
Yeah. You didn't know?
No, I thought it was like super or something cool.
Yeah, same thing. Well, Eddie had brought up the idea of talking about his work. He's only directed 3 movies. And before deciding to do this podcast, I had only seen 2 of them. And one of them I didn't like, but I rewatched it, and I'll give my thoughts on that as we go along.
And the other one you fell asleep on.
Oh, yeah, the other one I fell asleep on it. But
you rewatched.
I watched all 3, so they're pretty fresh in my mind. I took notes. So I see you don't have a notepad.
No. I think I've seen these movies enough
Yeah.
to where I kind of know what happens.
Yeah?
Kind of.
Well, before we talk about the movies, I want to talk about him a little bit. It says he was a screenwriter and a cinematographer, and he made his directorial debut with Bone Tomahawk in 2015.
Yes. I don't know. Did you look up into his his books that he wrote?
Oh, no, I didn't know.
I don't know how many. He's written a few books, and they're like...
Okay, I have the list here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. One of them's a graphic novel.
Oh. I've heard they're really good too.
Yeah?
Yeah. So, after finding out that he wrote books, it kind of makes sense, like the dialogue, because these movies are all really heavy dialogue based.
Yeah, they are.
And he just has almost like a poetic way to have these characters talk to each other. Some more than others, but yeah, he has a bunch of books which I really want to read. One of them, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's super violent apparently.
If you look at the name, will you know?
Wraths of a Broken Land.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one came out in 2013. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know he was also an author.
Yeah, he's in a band too.
Really?
Yeah. I've never heard the band, but okay. I guess it's like some metal
Yeah, it says as a metal musician, Zahler is better known by his stage name Czar.
That's so badass, dude.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh shit, he's done a lot of music.
Yeah, he I don't know if he did the music for anything else other than he worked with one of his band members to make the music for Bone Tomahawk.
Okay. Yeah, it says he did the soundtrack for Bone Tomahawk, Crawl into the Narrow Caves, Brawl in Cell Block 99, which is another one of his films that we're going to talk about, and Dragged Across Concrete.
Oh, so he did music for all 3.
Yeah, he did music for all 3.
Damn, so he's heavily involved in all 3 of these projects.
Yeah.
Because he wrote all of them.
Yeah, and
he directed all of them.
He also has frequent collaborators. He works a lot with Don Johnson, Udo Kier, Vince Vaughn, Jennifer Carpenter, and Fred Melamed. Fred Melamed, he's the bartender in Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah, the big guy.
Yeah.
He always has these small roles, but...
Yeah, he's the only one that's in all 3.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll get into what's that girl's name you do not like?
Jennifer Carpenter. Okay, it's listed here that she's also in all 3, but she was cast in Bone Tomahawk, but had to drop out. It doesn't give a reason as to why.
I don't know who she was going to play. Maybe the lady that gets kidnapped? The wife?
The wife?
Maybe.
I'm glad.
That would have been bad for you, dude.
Oh, man. I'll get to her once we start talking about Brawl. But I want to start off by talking about Dragged Across Concrete, just because...
You asshole. Okay. All right. So, yeah, this is the last movie he's made.
There's a reason why I want to start off going backwards.
All right.
Basically, I want to save the best for last. Is Bone Tomahawk.
Okay, yeah. I agree.
All right, so Dragged Across Concrete Came out 2018, and it's starring Mel Gibson, Vince Vaughn, Tori Kittles, Michael Jai White, Jennifer Carpenter, and like his recent collaborators like Don Johnson and stuff.
Yeah, all the usuals.
Yeah. But how did you even come across this movie? Did you already like
By this point I knew who Craig Zahler was?
Yeah.
And I loved the last 2 movies he made, so I was just excited when he announced this movie, and I saw the trailer and I'm like, this looks fucking badass.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge like Mel Gibson fan, so I was glad he's in it. And I think I watched one trailer and then I just didn't watch anything else because I didn't want to look into it. And I think I ended up just buying the Blu-ray. It was one of those blind buys.
Yeah.
Because I don't think this had like a major release in theaters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think it played everywhere. Like maybe small theaters here and there, but nothing that I knew of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this film. And I'll get into why, but
okay. Well, for me, I've only heard of this movie because of you. I didn't watch any trailer for it because I wanted to go in blind. Like,
okay, so
the only thing I knew about it was Craig Zahler directing, Mel Gibson, and Vince Vaughn in it.
Okay.
I had no other knowledge of the movie. I didn't know what it was about.
So you had no idea about it was about cops or anything?
No, I thought it was about concrete being dragged. But
he has the sickest names for his movies. I just want to point that out.
I will say that, yes.
Dragged Across Concrete sounds like it'd be like a sick ass like hardcore band name.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Or even like an EP.
All right, how do you want to get into this?
So, do you want to talk about like what the movie? And I don't necessarily want to talk about what the movie's about. Just like, I guess bullet points, like what we liked, what we didn't like, and stuff like that.
Well, let's just give like a little info just so we can add some context to it. It starts off with Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn. They're both cops. They're busting some guy, and I guess Mel Gibson's like really rough with him.
Yeah.
He like stomps on his head when he's being handcuffed.
It's Hector from Fast and the Furious.
Yeah. So some bystander ends up recording him. When the bust is over, it's successful. They get the drugs. Everything goes as planned. But who's that actor you like?
Don Johnson.
Don Johnson.
Yeah, he's like the lieutenant.
Yeah, so he calls him in the office, says, hey, this guy took a video of you guys being mistreating this
using
criminal.
excessive force, basically.
Yeah. And they get suspended for like 6 weeks without pay. And which is shitty because Mel Gibson, his family, they live in like in a not so great area.
Yeah.
And like he just, more than anything, he just wants them to move out of there. His daughter is being harassed like every day after school on their way home. And what was wrong with his wife?
She has MS.
MS, whatever that is. But she needs like a cane to walk around.
I think it's like multiple sclerosis or something like that.
Yeah, smart stuff, you know. And so he's just in a shitty situation, and Vince Vaughn's character is kind of the opposite, where he has like this plan to he buys a ring. He's gonna propose to his girlfriend.
Yeah,
and he's trying to like this whole situation of him getting suspended. He's trying to rethink of a better future for him and his girlfriend, or perhaps maybe wife soon.
Yeah,
and they just kind of Mel Gibson's character comes up with the idea of, hey, we're suspended. We're not really cops anymore for at least 6 weeks.
And he needs money.
And we need money. So let's just bust a criminal and take the money.
Yeah.
And
because he gets a tip, right? That there's going to be like a bank robbery or something.
Yeah. I don't think he really knows it's a bank robbery yet, but there's a tip that some guy... guy he's never... I don't remember the guy's name. The bad guy?
Yeah, it was like a long, like foreign name. I can't really remember.
But yeah, so their plan is just to somehow bust him. Well, not bust him because they're not cops. Just kind of take his money, whatever. It's supposed to be like maybe like a quick thing. Nobody's supposed to get hurt.
Yeah.
And everything that can go wrong did go wrong.
Yeah.
And then I want to say there's like 3 main characters in this movie: Mel Gibson, Vince Vaughn, and then the other guy.
The one from the very opening scene.
Yeah.
Tori Kittles. He plays a character named Henry Johns.
Yeah.
He just got going back to the opening scene. He just gets out of prison, and goes home, and the scene of him getting home and like you hear like moaning and stuff coming from a bedroom. I was under the impression like, oh, he just caught his wife cheating.
Yeah.
But basically, it's his mom, and she's hooking
to like, make money.
Yeah, to make money.
Support herself and her son, right?
Yeah, it's like he has a younger brother who's in a wheelchair, and like, so he wants to basically set them up, like gain money to like help them like with everything.
Yeah, so he's doing it the criminal way.
Yeah,
he's gonna like he hooked him and his partner Spawn, the guy who plays Spawn,
Michael Jai White.
Yeah, they're gonna assist some bank robbers.
Basically, be drivers.
Yeah, they'll get away, maybe some muscle. And throughout the movie, especially like the end, like the last hour or so, all these characters intertwine.
Yeah.
In this situation that goes fucking wrong.
Yeah.
And it just becomes like this fucking suspenseful, action-packed, gory end. And it's fucking awesome. I don't know, dude. I love everything about this movie. I love how it's fucking slow.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the slowest movie out of all three.
Definitely it is.
And it's super character driven. It's kind of, I was telling Birdie earlier, we were kind of talking about it, and you mentioned it while we were watching. It's kind of self-aware.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. Not necessarily self-aware.
Maybe critiquing the times we live in.
Well, the way I saw it is it was more of like a commentary on Mel Gibson himself and his career. Because I felt like there was a lot of on-the-nose stuff and like, not necessarily saying like people are too sensitive nowadays, which I mean to an extent is true.
Yeah.
But more along the lines of like, it's hard to get away with stuff, and it's easy to get caught for dumb shit that you say. Like there's a lot of points in this movie that topic is brought up. And I noticed that like the focus is on Mel Gibson when they're talking about stuff like that. And for those who know, like Mel Gibson is known for saying some pretty shitty anti-Semitic shit.
Yeah, and like there's that scene where the lieutenant's like when he's suspending them.
Yeah,
and he's talking about that like the times are changing, like, and Mel Gibson like he argues back like he's like, I busted my ass, like I stopped fucking these drugs from going to the school, but they're focusing on me putting my foot on this fucking guy's head.
Yeah.
And it's so there's like a lot of like on the nose stuff where he's talking about like I said, that where it's like they're only acknowledging the bad, and his character, I wouldn't say he's racist in the movie, because he's not a bad guy in the movie. Because even like the scene where they're talking about like when they're gonna rob the guy, he says like, if any bystanders get hurt or anything like that happens, like we're dropping out, like we're not gonna do that. So I feel like his intentions are good, and in his head, like he's like, we're robbing a criminal, like we're not.
That's how he's justifying it.
Yeah, and like I said, he even mentions like the lieutenant mentions to him like, you've been a cop for this long, and he's like, when we were partners back in the day, like you were never that rough with them.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't know if this job is getting to you. So it's kind of like a critique on cops too, like where it's like, at one point, like, do you just like not see these criminals as human beings anymore, where they're just a bad guy and they just got to be stopped at all costs, So I don't know, like this movie is, like I said, it's kind of, I want to say it's even like a critique on movies nowadays too.
Yeah,
because movies like the type that Craig Zahler makes aren't big anymore.
No.
And like if this movie was made like in the 80s, I feel like it would have been like a huge thing.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, like the fact that he doesn't use CGI, it's very like violent and gory, and the dialogue is, like I said, it mentioned earlier, it's really poetic, but it's also really realistic.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where like they're doing a stakeout, and just the way they talk about like the people they're like spying on, they're like, oh, it's the two black dudes,
Yeah.
And they talk how people would talk in real life.
Yeah.
Like in real life, you're not gonna be like, oh, it's those two African Americans. Like you're gonna if you're just like a fly on the wall, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, it's the two black dudes,
Especially for being characters that are like seasoned cops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From a time where talking like that was the norm,
And I think that like I said, that scene is really important because it's like talking about, like I said, not only like Mel Gibson shit that happened with him, but also where movies and cinema are at a certain point where, like you said, the times are too sensitive, where everyone is afraid to step on anyone's toes and everything has to be careful, and everything is about money. So like I said, you don't want to like offend anyone, and not necessarily offend people in the way that like you don't want to say bad shit, but like also just like I said, just the way you are with violence. Like his movies, like the violence in his movies are really fast paced.
Yeah.
Everything happens like really quick, and it's not dramatic at all. It's just like these horrible things happen like really fast, and like I'll get into like the Bone Tomahawk later, the violence in that, but everything is just really grounded. And like there's like that bank robber scene where one of the ladies gets shot, and it's super violent, and it just comes out of nowhere, and Fidel's like, what the fuck?
When Jennifer Carpenter gets shot?
Yeah, and like they just shoot her.
Yeah.
Like they shoot her fucking hands off, and then they shoot her face, and like it doesn't cut away. You see her face just get obliterated.
Yeah.
But it happens so fast, and the camera doesn't linger on it too long. Like
Yeah.
it's fast, and it's like, okay, we're out of there, and we're on to the next scene. And that's what I mean. Like the violence is so realistic, and like I don't know, like that's why like I love.
I can't fully agree with you on that.
Why? What do you think?
Yes, it's very realistic in how it's portrayed and how it's very practical. You know, the reactions to it isn't realistic to me.
How like they
Michael Jai White, Spawn,
okay. Mm-hmm.
when he gets shot in the crotch, he doesn't yell. He's just he basically goes and then keeps talking.
Have you been shot in the crotch before?
No, but I mean, I would imagine like maybe you could chalk it up
dude,
to like,
okay, well, I follow a bunch of shitty pages on Instagram that post videos of people getting shot, and it's always like a lot of times they don't react to it. Like,
but he never reacts to it, even after looking at what just happened to him. And
well, yeah, I feel the
way he reacts to it seems like it's just like he got like a bullet grazed him, basically.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you to a certain point, though, because
I thought, I'm sorry to keep cutting you off, but because I also thought the same thing when Jennifer Carpenter got shot. She got shot in the hand, and like,
but when you're
that one is more believable just because of the shock of it. Like she got shot in the hand, and it's more like, holy shit, like I'm about to die. So she like pulls out the booty of her baby.
I think when your adrenaline is pumping, dude, you don't feel them.
I know, okay, I understand that,
but
Michael Jai, going back to Michael Jai White, like it never catches up to him. It just like, oh shit, I'm shot, basically. Like,
well, he's taunting them too while he's doing it. He's like, he's shot, and he's like, they're asking him like, oh, where's the key? Because they need a key to get into the getaway car, and he swallows the key.
Yeah, and
that's when they start shooting him like in his legs and his fucking dick and everything, and he's just like talking shit back while but I don't know, like I don't know. To me, it's not that unrealistic, but I don't know. I don't know, dude. I'd have to like see somebody something.
Let me shoot you in the dick.
All right. But all right, let's move on from that. But
well, a couple things I do want to bring up about this movie is I thought the tension was built very well in this movie. Whenever there's like tense moments,
yeah,
it was done very well.
Because his movies are really unpredictable.
Yeah,
and he's the type of guy that will kill off like a main character.
Yeah, it doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, and so when there's a scene where like Mel Gibson's like outside the van, and he's waiting for like the bad guys to come out so he could like fucking kill him, and it's just like your palms are sweaty because you don't know what the fuck is gonna happen.
Yeah,
and his movies definitely, like, especially with this one, like they keep taking little twists and turns, and like just when you think something's going according to plan, something else happens.
Yeah,
and all that. And his movies are pretty hard to watch, but they're not to the
hell yeah.
Shout out to Hector.
Hecky, that you? Damn, don't even say hi.
But what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Everything is portrayed, like I said, like realistically. Like
it's very grounded.
It's grounded. Like I said, there's no real like dramatic music while everything's happening.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up too.
It's really like raw and gritty. And
there's no like quick cuts when they're fighting.
Yeah,
it's mostly just a wide shot.
Yeah, and like I said, that's why his movies are definitely a throwback to the old style of films, you know. And I think, I don't know, like that's why like directors like him, like, you know, like you have like Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve that are making like these epic grand movies and stuff, and I love that shit. But man, these movies will always like, I will always feel like a little kid like when I'm watching these movies, because like this is the kind of shit I loved watching, like the Rambo movies growing up, Die Hard, like all those like action movies that you can't make anymore because nobody's gonna watch them.
Yeah.
Because they're just hard to budget. And I read somewhere that Craig Zahler has like 26 scripts that are ready to go.
Yeah.
That they're from start, they're finished up, they're, you know, ready, but nobody wants to budget them because of the material in them. You know, nobody wants these like movies with like all these like older actors that are just like, I don't know, like just so disattached from today, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, they're not like polished like 007 movies, you know, where everything happens like so perfectly, or like John Wick and things like that, where like, even though I like those movies,
like raw.
Yeah, but these are super gritty and they're unpredictable.
Yeah.
And like you said, and they're really heavy like dialogue based, where like there's a scene in this movie where Vince Vaughn is just eating a sandwich.
Yeah.
It's during the stakeout, and he's
the shot goes on for so long. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, and it's like he leaves these shots unintentionally. There's even a scene that where it shows this guy, like, he's sleeping. He has a cell phone on his chest, and it's like the shots just linger on him for like a minute until the phone rings, and then he wakes up and he answers it. And I'm just like, it could have just cut to him for like 2 seconds, and then the phone rings and he wakes up. But like, why did he let it linger for so long? So there's a few scenes that I feel like could have been cut down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're kind of there for a reason too. Like, he's just trying to set the pace for like when the action does hit, it hits even harder. Because if you get a movie that's just like fast paced action from beginning to end, it ain't gonna hit as hard, you know.
So what are your like? Because I want to move on.
Okay.
Because we do have 2 more movies to talk about. What are your overall thoughts on this movie specifically?
I liked it a lot. He's one of those directors, like I said, that I'm always gonna get excited for.
Yeah.
This is my least favorite from all 3, but that's not saying I don't like it at all. Because like I said, I love this movie, and now, like, especially that we both rewatched it yesterday. And like I was just excited, like, oh, I can't wait to get to this scene, or like I want to see Fidel's reaction to this scene, because there's like a lot of like what the fuck moments.
There definitely is. And
like, I don't know, it looks good. I love the music in it, the actors, everything's just perfect. And this guy is just obvious. Like I said, he's a writer, and like the way he uses his words. I can't remember like the dialogue in the beginning of it, but you were like kind of repeating it. Just because it was like the scene where he walks into his mom and she's like, that white dude comes out and he's like, oh, you better move, like you're in fast forward, or something like that. Like, just like words like that. Like, I'm just like that. He can totally tell this guy like writes for a living.
That makes a lot of sense now. Like,
yeah. And like, I don't know, like I highly recommend it to everyone. I would recommend watching the other 2 first before you watch this one. I would watch his movies in the order that he's made them. Yeah. I feel like this movie would probably be like the hardest to get into and the least liked for most people.
Yeah.
But like I said, I fucking love this movie. Like, this movie is fucking awesome. It's not your typical cop story, and it was just good to see like Mel Gibson like in this movie. And I heard that Vince Vaughn had to like talk him into this movie. He's like, I worked with this guy. He has a script, and I want you to play my partner. And I guess Mel Gibson was like, all right, let's do it. So yeah, it was cool. Like I said, I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah, I would recommend it as well. It is, especially for people who love movies, who love film.
Yeah.
Just based solely on the fact that this movie looks really good. The cinematography of this movie looks very good. It's very well written. And like I said, the tension is well built in this. The chemistry between Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson is so good.
Everything feels real.
Everything feels very real.
It doesn't end how you think it will end either.
Yeah, it doesn't. But I thought it was just okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't hate it. You know, like, I did enjoy it. I would watch it again.
Yeah. I feel like that's going to be most people's reaction to it. Unless, like, And Lex, if you're like 30 years old or higher, like I feel like you're gonna appreciate it more
Yeah.
because it, like I said, it has that old style to it. Like
And
if you get someone like in their early, I would be very surprised if I see someone that's like 18 that watches this movie and it's like, oh, this is fucking sick.
yeah, like you gotta go in knowing it's not like one of those typical action packed, like when the action hits, it hits.
Yeah.
But it's not action heavy.
Yeah.
It's very dialogue heavy, very story driven.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely is my least favorite of the three. But I didn't hate it.
Yeah. Same here.
So the next one we're gonna talk about Brawl.
Okay.
So this one is kind of been brought up a lot between Eddie and me because the first time I watched this movie, I absolutely hated it. Just because I went in with the mindset of like, okay, it was presented to me in a way that it's a serious like story, serious dramatic like action film, and I was like, okay, I went in and that's not what I watched, and it just made me not like the movie.
I had the opposite, dude. When I first watched it, I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I remember thinking it was stupid, it was boring.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So what did you think rewatching this movie?
Okay, so rewatching it started like I took a lot of notes.
Yeah.
I hated it. Up until he gets to Redleaf.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, maybe now that I have like analytical eyes on, I'm gonna like going into it knowing it's supposed to be like a throwback like 70s like prison thriller type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll change my mind. So I'm watching it and I wrote down all the stuff I still did not like. The car beatdown.
You didn't like that?
I didn't not because
I love that scene,
not
dude.
because it didn't look cool. It looked sick. But how it was just completely ignored after it happened. Like, okay, so he gets home and finds out that his wife cheated on him, right?
He is Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn.
Yes, Vince Vaughn. I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
Brawl on Cell Block 99, starring Vince Vaughn, Jennifer Carpenter, and and Don Johnson. Those are like the three big stars in this movie. So Jennifer Carpenter plays his wife. Vince Vaughn had just got let go from his job, so he goes home like on a shitty mood. Finds out his wife was cheating on him, or because she's covering up a hickey, right?
Yeah.
And so he's very aggressive with her, tells her to go wait in the house, and he beats the shit out of her car with his bare hands.
And fucks it up. It doesn't cut away either.
It doesn't cut away. He's like,
the crap out of the car.
he's like dents the hood in, punches out the fucking headlights, breaks the window, breaks the roof.
I just want to say Vince Vaughn is menacing as fuck in this movie. He's huge in this movie. And I was watching like a really quick. Craig Zahler was talking about him, and he's like, Vince Vaughn is a tall motherfucker.
Yeah.
And nobody ever thought to make him the villain of anything. Like to make him like, he pretty much wanted to make him like a Frankenstein in this movie, like this unstoppable force.
Yeah.
Like, and he looks menacing in this movie, like not only because he's big, but he's like bald in it. He has a big old tattoo on the back of his head.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to throw that really quick.
So yeah, he like beats the shit out of his car. Any normal person sees their partner doing this, they're out of there. Like,
I wouldn't. I'd be like, damn, dude, I'm scared. I'm just gonna chill here.
But it's not brought up. He goes inside, fucking mangled, bloody knuckles, and they just like, we need to talk. Like, yeah, well, you just fucking ruined my car.
Well, I don't know. Maybe she's had that problem with him before.
Then how can I feel sympathy for her for being a fucking dumbass and being with this person still? An obvious
Oh yeah, I don't think you're supposed to.
Like, I don't know. I hated that. Like, I just did not like that at all.
There's no like real lovable characters in this movie.
No, there isn't.
Cause like I said, she's like an idiot for being with him, and he's a fucking asshole. Cause he I don't know. Like, he's not a bad guy, but he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know how to explain it, but.
And then, okay, I'm going to go through basically what the movie's about before getting into why I didn't like it and what I did like about it. So this happens. They decide to like work on their marriage, stay together. He needs money though, so he hits up an old friend, Gil, to be like a driver, like a transporter basically for him, like delivering and like picking up money and drugs, shit like that, to earn money.
And he's very professional during everything too.
Yeah, he's very professional, and so he starts doing that, and he says it's only temporary. It cuts to 18 months later. He has to do this meetup with like these Mexicans, and shit goes sideways. They get caught. He gets caught, and then goes to prison. And then while he's in prison, the Mexican guy they made the deal with blames him for everything. So he basically wants to like fuck with him while he's in prison. Tells him that if he doesn't kill this person for him in the maximum security prison, he's gonna murder his wife and unborn baby because she's pregnant.
So one thing I didn't bring up yet, Craig Zahler makes some fucking weird characters in his movies. And the guy that's supposed they hire this like guy from like China or somewhere to perform an abortion where the baby can still be alive. No, it's not really an abortion.
No, he's gonna cut the limbs.
He's gonna cut the limbs off of the fetus while it's still in her.
Yeah.
So the baby will still be alive and like it'll still be born, but it's just gonna have no limbs.
Yeah.
Which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like I love that shit because it's like it's such a throwback to like the 70s, like where it's just so over the top.
This movie is definitely a throwback to like those 70s prison thriller, those grindhouse movies, you know.
Definitely.
So Vince Vaughn he does he fucking.
He does everything they tell him. Right?
Yeah, he does everything they tell him because his family first is his mindset. So he goes to this new prison, and the guards and the warden there are just fucking terrible people. And then it turns out like there's no person that he was supposed to kill. They're just there to fucking torture him, basically. And so that's basically the gist of it without giving away the ending. So going back to when he beats up the car or whatever, the chemistry between fucking Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Carpenter to me is non-existent. There is no chemistry between them.
There isn't.
And I don't know if that's just because there is no or because I just do not like her as an actress.
No, because I mean I don't mind her. I think it's just that he's such like I said, he's like this Frankenstein guy who doesn't show his emotions. Yeah, he's like a man's man, you know. Yeah, and like who's
apparently like super strength shit.
Yeah, so, but that's what I mean. Like how you can't really have chemistry with a guy like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think there was meant to be any real chemistry there. Because I'm sure if he wanted it to, he would flesh them out more. Because you don't really go too much between both of them. You just have like that one scene in the beginning, and then you have like a few phone calls and stuff like that later on. But yeah, I agree with you. There's like no chemistry really between them.
And then like the pregnancy suit that she wears is so like obviously fake.
Yeah, I feel like that's also like another thing that's like everything is just like super like practical to the point where like a lot of the deaths in this movie, like you can totally tell it's like a rag doll or like like they're just like because this movie is fucking violent, dude.
Yeah, it's very violent.
Like there's a scene where he's beating up a guy and he like stomps on his face and then he drags his fucking face across the concrete with his shoe. Like
and when he flips him over, is his fucking skull. Like,
yeah, it's just his fucking skull. Like all the meat's just been taken off, and it's like it's so over the top. But because it's practical effects, you still kind of like cringe at it. You're like, oh man, that sucks. Like, if it was done with CGI, it would just look stupid. But like I said, they use like practical effects to the point where I think they did it intentionally to make them look not real. Because, like I said, there's a lot of scenes in here where it's just like. That's obviously fake. But when you look at Bone Tomahawk or even Dragged Across Concrete, everything looks real. Yeah. And so it's like he intentionally made this movie to look like it was made in the 70s. So I love that aspect about it. Like,
all right, so at this point, I'm like, I fucking hate this movie. Like, there came a point where I almost turned it off. But I was like, no, I gotta continue because we're gonna talk about it.
Don't listen to Fidel.
I gotta continue. Hold on.
Did you watch this alone?
Yeah. So the dock scene is when I almost turned it off when he gets caught.
Okay.
The reason I almost turned it off was before I get to that, one of the guys' name is Roman, the bald guy, the one who like survives. He's at the end. His fucking voice like made me laugh.
I
It
don't remember
seems
his
so.
voice.
He was like talking like this, like.
Oh,
But that's the guy's actual voice. It was just funny to me. But okay, so the whole thing is it's Roman and this other little like short Mexican guy. I can't remember his name, but they go with Vince Vaughn to retrieve this chest, and it's
in the
supposed
middle of the water.
yeah, it's in the middle of the water on a boat in the middle of the night. So they go, and then like they're coming back, and the two Mexican guys they try to take off like they without Vince Vaughn, right?
Yeah.
And that's when the cops show up, and like they end up having a shootout with the cops. And Vince Vaughn has this chance to just leave because the cops didn't see him. He could just leave, but he decides to go back and basically help the cops. So he shoots the shorter Mexican guy. That guy ends up dying, or he falls to the ground. And then like I remember noticing like when the guy falls to the ground, he's like coughing up blood. Then it shows the cop aim at his head and shoot. It took so long for the bullet to hit his head. Like, I noticed that. I was like, what the fuck? It was like, poof, poof. Like, it was such a big delay. I was like, what the fuck was that? I don't know if it was just an editing mistake.
It has to be intentional, dude.
But maybe. I don't I was just like, what? That was so dumb. And then, like, when he did shoot him, he had the opportunity to shoot Roman also, but he didn't. He just jumps into the water. I was like, why the fuck didn't he shoot Roman? I was like, oh my God, this just pissing me off. But then he gets busted, and then I was just like, okay, I gotta continue watching this. Like, I have to. I was like forcing myself. Then he gets to the prison. It's a minimum security prison, but there's like they get off the bus, and they get their chains removed before getting inside. I was like, what the fuck? Like that's okay, whatever. So he walks in, and it's like a line, like a fucking DMV. Like it's a line to check in. And then there's one, like, you hear the guard say...
Well, if it's a minimum security, I don't think it's, like...
That's what I figured. I was like,
thorough.
okay, maybe they're not just as strict.
Because once you get to the other ones, like, they're a lot worse.
And maybe it's just to show the difference in, like extremes of, like, this is so,
maximum
like, lax.
security.
And, yeah. So, but I do remember, like, the guard was just being a fucking dick. Like, oh, back of the line. It seemed so sitcom to me. I was like, I'm not into it, whatever. So I'm still hating the movie at this point.
I feel like that was a fun character though.
No,
like it was that guy.
The same guy from Bone Tomahawk and from.
Yeah, that he's in all his movies.
Yeah, he also played like I think the bank manager in Dragged
Across Concrete.
But so he's in the prison, and then oh shit, there's a bug. Damn. So he's in the prison. How does I can't remember how like the situation came about where he needs to go to the new prison. Okay, he meets this guard, the black guard.
Yeah,
and he's like asking him about boxing, and you're like, okay, is this guard gonna be a dick? Is this guard gonna be cool? Like, what's going on here? Like, what's the situation? And then they do like the fucking nightly checks, and the guard's being a fucking asshole. But then when Vince Vaughn finds out that his like wife was kidnapped and stuff, and he has to figure out a way to get to the maximum security prison, then the guard's like, nice.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, like, you know, I want to apologize for earlier. You know, I was being a dick.
Yeah.
I just want you to get into boxing, whatever. They end up getting into a fight. Like if Vince Vaughn provokes him, they get into a fight. And I was just like, okay, this is tight, but it's just logically, I'm like, it's not doing it for me.
Well, this is like a throwback, dude. Like that guard could have pulled out his gun, but he just wanted to box him out.
And then he breaks his arm, right?
And he doesn't scream.
He doesn't scream, and then like the guards come in and they're like, "Hey, Andre, are you all right?" And he says something like, "Shoot this motherfucker." He says something with no distress in his voice. It's like, dude, your arm was just broken. Like,
that's another thing, dude. I'm telling you, he did these things intentionally because that's how like those shitty movies from the '70s were made.
Well, I wasn't into it, so.
Dude. I yeah, because there's that scene where, yeah, they're like wrestling and he fucking breaks his arm.
Like,
and he's just like
breaks.
Yeah, and he's just like making a weird face, but he's not yelling or screaming. Like if I broke my fucking arm, I'd be like squealing like a girl, dude. Like, but that's like when the first time I watched it, I was like, hell yeah, dude. Like this is such a fucking throwback. Like, this is what I love in cinema, dude. But I can see why a lot of people would not.
Yeah,
like they would be like, that's fucking weird. And I totally get it.
Yeah, so like up to that point, I was still like, man, I fucking hate this movie. Like. And then he gets on the bus. He's being transported to the
maximum
prison.
Security.
Then I noticed the music that was playing. The music changed. It was more of like synth, heavy music, like very subtle. Like I heard it and I was like, oh, this song's pretty. This sounds cool. And the look of the movie kind of changed to me. I was like, whoa, like what the hell? Like, it kind of looked darker, a little more grim. Then he gets to the new prison, and like they make him strip down in front of the prison and like change into his new getup, whatever. This is when I got into the movie.
Really?
Yeah, like I don't know what it was. Like just once he gets there, to me it was like I was like, okay, what they were trying to do, I feel like they did it. He did it successfully in the second half, in my opinion. So like everything in there is like they put him in this room. It's like glass on the floor, shitty ass bed with like that fucking sinks in the middle.
The toilet's all fucking nasty.
Toilet full of shit, like literally full of shit.
Did you feel bad for his character at all?
Not necessarily.
Because I did.
Yeah?
I did.
Only because like, okay, look, he's doing all this because he's trying to save his wife. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I get it.
And like I said, Craig Zahler like has like this thing where like he sets it up to where it's like, oh, he's gonna be beating up a bunch of criminals, and even the guards in this movie, they're fucking assholes.
Yeah,
Like,
at the maximum security prison, yeah.
They're fucking pieces of shit. So like when the shit hits the fan, like you don't feel bad. You kind of rooting for Vince Vaughn's character.
And one of the guards is actually Smalls from The Sandlot.
Really? I didn't notice
The guy
that.
he breaks his arm. The smaller guy.
I didn't remember. Yeah, I remember.
That's Smalls.
I didn't notice that.
But yeah, like once he gets to that prison and like interacting with those guards and John Johnson, maybe it's because I love Don Johnson. Like that guy's fucking awesome.
He's fucking badass in this movie.
Like he's the warden.
He's super calm. Like he
Yeah.
always has that cigarette in his mouth.
Yeah, and like
He's a piece of shit though.
yeah, and so he's in there, and they take him to like the room where like they put that fucking belt on him that electrocutes him like whenever they want.
Yeah.
And just the way he figures shit out, like the way he figures like if he puts his souls in the back part of it, it won't shock him. And
Yeah.
I don't know, just the second half of the movie made me like love this movie.
And like I said, when he finally like breaks out of that room, he has like that prison guard like as a hostage and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he goes into that room where the guy that is behind everything, behind like them kidnapping his wife and all that. When he finally does break in that room, like instead of having guns, they like try to like kung fu fight him, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like this movie doesn't like.
And like it's a wide shot. Like when they're fighting, there's no like quick cuts to like hide the blows or whatever.
Yeah.
The whole fight is a wide shot.
It's super dry too.
Yeah, and there's no music playing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I loved it. I was like, oh, dude, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude. Like I said, like a lot of logic is thrown out because they could have just got a gun and shot him. Or,
Yeah.
But instead, they like challenge him to like a fucking fight.
Yeah.
And he just beats the shit out of all of them, and it just becomes like this fucking gory, beautiful scene.
Yeah. Yeah, and like he fucking stomps that guy's head. Like, oh man, it's the ending, like the last half of this movie. I would say the last hour of this movie made me love this movie as a whole.
And there's that scene, dude, where he tells the guard like not to like come out or something, and he like smashes his head with the door.
Yeah, that's the Smalls from.
Oh, that's the guy.
That's
Okay.
him. Yeah.
And like little things like that, I was just like, man, that sucks. Like it's so well done to the point where, like I said, because he uses practical effects, like he intentionally made him look kind of crappy,
Yeah.
but realistic. Because even the final scene where he has a guy's head in the toilet, remember?
Okay. Oh,
And he
yeah.
stomps on his fucking head.
Yeah.
And it, I think he rips his head off.
decapitates him.
Yeah. And you can totally tell it's like a dummy head, but it looks fucking tight.
And just the sound design, like the sounds he uses in that scene is like the crunching and just like.
Yeah, this guy's like fucking crunching like a watermelon in the back and like recording it. Like, I'm gonna use this later.
But yeah, so like he's fighting like the Asian guy, and like he ends up killing him, and then Roman is in the room too, and he fights him, and like that he fucking stomps his head out.
Yeah.
And then like the leader, like the main Mexican guy, but while he was fighting Roman, makes a phone call like, if you don't hear from me in 10 minutes, like kill the wife, whatever.
Yeah.
But Vince Vaughn like breaks his leg and tells him like to call off the whole thing, make sure like his wife gets safe. And so they drive the wife like to safety to Gil, like to make sure she's all right. And then like I thought that scene was funny when she like takes a gun and shoots the Asian guy herself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really like campy movie.
Yeah.
It's definitely a movie that you'll have more fun watching with a lot of people too.
Yeah. If you're into like those grindhouse style like exploitation type films, like this one, I would highly recommend watching.
Out of all his movies, this is the one that's like a huge like throwback to that.
Yeah. So before moving on, overall thoughts.
I loved it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say the same. Like,
yeah.
Even though like I was talking shit, but it got to a certain point where
I think you'll have a better time watching it again.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I liked it a lot the first time, like a lot, but the second time I watched it, I appreciated it even more.
I guess it's gonna take me 3 times to watch it as a whole, or love it as a whole.
Yeah, I think like a lot of it too. Like I said, like you kind of have to like know going into it like what it is.
Yeah.
And this is like another one of those movies that I'm telling you, like I can't see like a young person watching this and being like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like
yeah, like I think these movies are more for like the film lovers.
Cool people.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
I farted. All right, so yeah, I would suggest watching it. I don't think they're streaming on anything actually.
They were for a while on Amazon, and
I think you can rent it for like $1 right now. I don't know how long that's gonna last.
Yeah, they're cheap. So rent them or buy them, I would say.
I would say buy them, honestly.
So let's move on to
the main event, Bone Tomahawk. And this one we've mentioned before, and we mentioned the fact that I fell asleep while watching it.
I know, dude.
But I rewatched it, and I loved every second of this movie.
So did I. Dude.
Like I had to, like,
this is
look for things that I didn't like, and it's like maybe 1 or 2 things.
There was I think was it the last episode where I talked about this, or the one before?
The one before where we were talking about like
underrated movies.
Yeah, underrated movies.
Yeah, this definitely falls into that. And I feel like it's such a hidden gem. And when people like watch it and they love it, it just pumps me up, dude.
But I mean, come on, it has Kurt Russell.
Yeah. Like
Kurt Russell, like, and only
returns as a fucking cowboy, dude.
Like he's a fucking sheriff. Like, oh man, he's so good in this. Patrick Wilson. I feel like Patrick Wilson is a pretty underrated actor. The guy with the limp.
Oh, okay. Well, rewatching it, how do you feel about Matthew Fox?
Okay, that's another thing because I'm very vocal also about my dislike for Matthew Fox. I would say I probably dislike him as much as I like Jennifer Carpenter.
Really?
Yeah, like, but he was really good in this.
He's my favorite character, dude.
He was so good. I love how fucking cocky he was.
But it's like validated.
It's validated, yes. And like he's obviously the smartest one, you know?
There's even that line in the movie where he's talking about like he tells everyone like I'm the smartest one here.
Yeah, and then he's like, "What makes you think that?" And he's all like, "The sheriff and Mr. O'Dwyer are married. You're a widow." And he's like, "Okay, what does that have to do with being smart?" He's like, "Oh, a smart man doesn't get married," or something like that.
And then the guy's like, "Yeah, you're right."
Yeah. So like he's very clever, like as sarcastic, you know. Smart
and he has that cool line where he's talking about how many Indians he's killed. Yeah. And he's like, I've killed like 150, this and that. And then that...
well, he actually never reveals how much until the end. Because when they ask him, like how many have you killed? And he all he says is not enough.
No, I think he does mention in the beginning, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. What's that line where he says, like, I've killed blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, that's not something to boast about.
He said, oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Oh no, because he says like I've killed more Indians than everybody in this room combined. That's what he said. Yeah. And then he said that's not something to boast about, and he's like, I'm not boasting. It's just a fact. Yeah. That's what the line was.
That's such a cool line, dude.
Like yeah, he's like very cool in this movie. Yeah. I will give him that. He was very good. It almost makes me want to be like, okay, I want to search for something else that he's good in now.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I didn't even notice it was Matthew Fox. No. Until like after I watched it, I looked up like some of the actors and so I'm like, what the fuck? Like I don't know, like it's obviously him, but I just didn't recognize him. Yeah. He gets lost in this character pretty well. Yeah. But all right, so this movie about
it opens up with Sid Haig and David Arquette, which surprising. Like I forgot they were in this.
Yeah, dude.
and they're like
they stumble upon like this Indian burial ground.
Well, before they get there, there's like they're like robbing somebody, right?
Oh yeah, the movie starts off really brutal and just sets the mood. It just starts off with some guy like slitting another guy's throat.
Yeah.
And it shows it, and it's Sid Haig's character, and they just rob these two guys while they're asleep, and they run off because they're being like hunted by the cowboys or something.
Yeah.
And they stumble upon like this like Indian burial ground thing.
Yeah, it's like it's where this specific tribe buries their dead, and they stumble across it, and then Sid Haig gets attacked. And while he's like trying to fight one of them off, David Arquette runs off but knocks over like a pile of rocks, which was supposed to be like a headstone type of thing, you know. So he like desecrated it.
Did you notice that like in the background, like Sid Haig's character is like, I think they pull out his intestines?
Yeah.
Like I didn't notice that until like the second time I watched it.
No, yeah, I noticed. This movie is very graphic.
Yeah, and it has like a lot of like subtle violence too, where it's like you can miss it because it happens so quick. Like I said, like I mentioned earlier, like the violence in all his movies are just so fast paced and dry. Yeah, like how violence is in real life.
Yeah, but so David Arquette gets away. He buries like some of the goods that they were stealing. Yeah, he buries them, changes his clothes, and goes into town where Kurt Russell is the sheriff. And he has like this old man, Richard Jenkins, who I fucking love. Richard Jenkins, like when I first saw him in 6 Feet Under, that was the first thing I ever saw him in. No. I don't know if you've ever seen that show. No. He is so good. He's such a good actor. But he plays like the old man, like backup deputy. It's basically a job title just to give him purpose. Yeah. Because Kurt Russell obviously has a soft spot for him. Yeah. But Richard Jenkins informs Kurt Russell that like, oh, there's like this suspicious character at the bar, you know. So they go confront him, and Kurt Russell tells them that they saw him like bury the shit out in the field, whatever. He tries to run and shoots him in the leg. So then it cuts to Patrick Wilson and his wife, the O'Dwyers, and Patrick Wilson has an injury from like, I guess he was doing some work on the roof. House. Yeah,
and he fell off or something.
Yeah, so he's injured. So she's like tending to him, and she's a nurse. So Matthew Fox is sent to get her to retrieve the bullet from David Arquette's leg, so he fucking doesn't bleed out. Yeah. So he goes out, and then the actual deputy is left to walk her home when they're done, whatever. Next morning, they're gone, and like they don't know what happened. Like they think, and then they see an arrow in one of the posts inside the sheriff's office, and
yeah, so they got kidnapped.
Yeah, they got kidnapped
by what they think are Indians. Yeah. Until they get like an actual Indian to come like take a look at the arrow and like figure out like what tribe is this, you know?
And it's more of like the way he explains it is like they're not human the way he describes them. Yeah, they're like legit savages.
They're cannibals. Yeah, cave dwellers. Yeah, like he even has a line where like Matthew Fox's character like calls them Indians and like, oh, they're not Indians, and he's like, not that you'd be able to tell like the difference, you know? Yeah. And so yeah, they figure out that it's this weird tribe, and then they ask the guy like, oh, do you know where we can find them?
Yeah, and they want him to take them, but he's like, I'm not going there. Like, yeah, you won't survive. Like, he's very adamant. Like, you will not survive no matter how many people you take. Like, they're gonna fucking kill you. But so he shows them where it is, and the one thing I did want to point out, like, Richard Jenkins, he was like, oh, like, I'm gonna go with you, but Kurt Russell says no. Yeah. But he ends up going anyway. I don't know if I maybe missed the part where he convinces him to let him go, or
I think he did.
Because he's an old man, like.
Yeah, I think he. I don't remember what the reason was. I think it was just one of those reasons where it's just like, I got nothing here for me. Oh, okay. Because he's a widower, right? Yeah, he's a widower. His wife passed away, and so I think they just like they kind of need as many men as they can. Yeah, that's true. 4 of them end up going to try to rescue the sheriff and the O'Dwyer's wife.
Well, the deputy.
The deputy's wife.
Yeah, the deputy. No, it was they tried to rescue the deputy and O'Dwyer's wife.
Okay, yeah. So you got Kurt Russell,
Kurt Russell, Richard Jenkins, Matthew Fox, and Mr. O'Dwyer, Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, and he is injured.
Yeah.
He has a fucked up leg, so they don't want him to go. But he's like, "That's my fucking wife. I'm gonna go."
Yeah.
So they tell him like, if you can keep up, you can come with us.
Yeah.
So a lot of the movie is just them on their journey to.
It's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's my favorite part of the movie. As much as I love the ending and all that, I love that that middle part of the movie where it's just them talking, just heading out trying to find this. And I don't know if you noticed, the town that they're in is called Bright Hope, right?
Yeah.
And it's very green. There's a lot of like land that's really scenic, beautiful. But throughout their journey, everything just starts getting grayer, and dirtier, until like they eventually reach where they need to go, and everything's just dirt and rocks. And so like it's so on the nose, like it's like, oh, we come from Bright Hope where everything's so pretty, to like this desolate, like gross area. But yeah, that section in the beginning where they're just like everyone's kind of bonding.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking awesome, dude. Like I love westerns, and just like seeing like the way they handle situations like back then, like the bonding between them all. Like you don't have any like weird characters where you're like, I don't trust that character, or
not
like everyone's just like a good person in this movie. Well, from the main characters, like there's no shitty person. Like there's no one that like is gonna backstab another one. There's no one in it for the wrong reasons. There's 4 guys that are genuine people, all doing it for like different reasons, but ultimately to save these 2 people, and they know the risk, and it's just them like on their journey, and it's so like it's just great hearing them talk, because Craig Zahler's dialogue, like the stuff he writes around the scripts, they're just like so intriguing. The way they flesh out these characters is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was really good, very engaging. Like it kept my attention. Like and you learn so much. Like you learn that Matthew Fox tried to woo Mrs. O'Dwyer before she got with Mr. O'Dwyer. Yeah. And like that's brought up, and he was like, yes, like I tried, but she rejected me, and so that's it.
Yeah, so it's not like he's going there to like, try to like win her over or anything like that. And that's what I mean. Like everything's like they're just so like I don't know, they're just like nice people. Yeah, which is weird to see like in a western where it's like, you know what I mean. Like usually they try to have like some conflict between them, some weird bickering, and they kind of bicker a little bit, but it's nothing like crazy. Yeah. Like there's that scene where they're falling asleep and they set like these wires around them to like, in case like somebody tries to like come up on them while they're sleeping. And even like Matthew Fox's character is like, if you hear a noise, like I'm not thinking twice, like I'm just gonna shoot. Or he's like, go, everyone shoots. Like that is if I don't beat you to it. Like he's really cocky. And like
I wanted to bring that up too, because his reasoning for it is just like, because he sets that up, and I forgot which character it was. It might have been Richard Jenkins' character, the old man. He's like, oh, what if it's somebody like that needs help? But Matthew Fox has an answer for that, like, and it makes sense. It's like, if it's somebody that needs help, they're gonna announce themselves. Yeah, they're not. If they're close enough to set off the little booby traps, they're trying to sneak up on us. Yeah. So it's either gonna be a wild animal or somebody trying to rob us.
And I think they mentioned it, right? They killed his wife, right, or something.
Who?
Matthew Fox's character, like some Indians.
Yes. Well, no. His family when he was 10.
Oh, yeah, they killed his family.
Yeah, his parents and his sister.
That's what it was. Yeah, and so he kind of has like a vendetta. Yeah. Like against them, so that's where his shit stems from. Yeah. So
And then like there's a scene where somebody does come up, and they're trying to like announce themselves, like Matt, I think Kurt Russell draws a gun on him, and it's like a Mexican guy. Yeah. He's like, are you by yourself? He's like, oh no, I have somebody, like we need help, whatever. He's trying to say they need help, and then Matthew Fox out of nowhere kills him. Yeah. And they get mad at him, and when that happened, I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, that's when I started thinking like, okay, you can't really trust this character, but it's like he gives reason and it makes sense. Yeah. It's like those were scouters. They were gonna go back to whatever, like to ambush us. Like they were just like, you got to believe me on it, and it turned out to be true.
He's definitely the
logical one.
The logical one where it's like, you can't be too careful. We're on a fucking mission, and we need to do this mission. Yeah. And like nothing can get in our way, because like any little like He's definitely like kind of paranoid of people.
Yeah.
So like he just doesn't want to like let anyone in that circle and like fuck up everything that they're working towards. And there's that scene also where they do get attacked that night.
Yeah, and he gets stabbed in the shoulder.
He gets stabbed, but they end up like shooting the bad guys.
Yeah,
and they fuck up their his horse.
Yeah,
that's a really sad scene. Like he walks up to the horse and it's kind of dying, so I think he says like thank you for everything or something like that, and he shoots him to put it out of its misery. And it's like this really sad, like sentimental, like moment.
And like you feel for him, and it's just like fuck, man.
Yeah, and
they have to walk from there.
Yeah, and eventually, that character's his leg gets so bad that they have to leave him behind.
Well, the reason they leave him behind is because Matthew Fox makes like a smart ass joke towards him because he knows of like his wife is a sensitive subject, obviously. Yeah. And he makes a joke of like, I'll try not to flirt with her when we get there. And he gets mad and tries to swing at him, but he trips. And he legitimately breaks his leg this time. So they tell him like, we got to take it. We got to amputate it or else you'll get gangrene. And he's just like, no, just fucking set it. And like, so they set it. He knocks out. They give him like a sedative. And like, he told them like, just go on. I'll catch up with you guys when you nap. Yeah. So they leave him behind. And honestly, I thought that was going to be the end of it with him.
Yeah, because you're like...
there's no way he can survive. Like...
Yeah. And the cool thing, too, it's like the whole time his leg is fucked up, but he doesn't get annoying with it like he would have like in another movie. Where it's like, oh, I can't go on. Like, he's being dramatic. He's in pain, and you can tell, and he plays it off so good. But he's not a little fucking baby about it.
Yeah, because he's determined.
Yeah, he just wants to get his fucking wife back.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool too, like that it was just really well done. So they leave him behind and he's just sedated, he's knocked out, kind of recovering from like them setting his fucking leg. So the other cowboys, they go on without him, and they finally get to the caves, the area.
Oh man,
this is where the movie kind of turns into like a different movie too. It just kind of like, it's not your typical Western after this moment, you know?
And there's things that happen that I was like, oh, I bet this is what's gonna happen, and it doesn't happen that way. And it's like, I'm glad it didn't happen that way. And specifically what I'm talking about is the death of Matthew Fox, the death of his character. Oh, so they're going and like, there's no music, but you hear like the arrows like coming and.
No, they throw a bone tomahawk at not Kurt Russell, not Matthew Fox, the other character,
Richard Jenkins.
And it hits him in the head, and it kind of scalps him a little bit.
Scalps him a little bit.
And they're just having a normal conversation out of nowhere. There's like no suspense, nothing to warn you that it's gonna happen. Out of nowhere, you just see that fucking bone tomahawk fly.
It is tense though, because before that happens, there's kind of like a little like not a cave, but it's like a walkthrough like under some rocks, and
they see like bones, right?
Yeah, and then Matthew Fox says like, I'm gonna go ahead, make sure everything's good. I'll signal you if I'm not back in like 30 seconds, or if you don't get my signal in 30 seconds, just leave. And they're like, oh, what's the signal? And he picks up a white rock. He's like, I'm gonna throw this. So they're waiting for him, and just of them waiting,
that little moment.
Yeah, you're just like fuck. And then Kurt Russell's looking at his watch, and you hear and that's all you hear. And then out of nowhere, like the rock. So you're like, okay, good. And they go in and they're like trying to plan their attack. And then that's when Richard Jenkins, like out of nowhere, fucking hit in the head, and like it like scalps him a little bit. And then I think they cut his hand off because they throw one at him too.
They throw a tomahawk, and it chops his fucking hand off, and everything happens so fucking fast, dude. It's so like fast. A 20-second scene. Yeah, like it just feels like that. Like it's really fast, and like I said, there's no music. And after it's done, you're like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, and like they don't do like the whole stereotypical like when they're being attacked, they're like you know what I mean? Like they're being attacked, and just like
it's really quiet. Yeah, and there's a cool scene where I think it's later on after this though, but this movie is realistic to like I mentioned earlier, where your adrenaline is pumping, where you don't even feel the fucking like bullets hit you. Yeah, they shoot some of them, and they like stop for like a few seconds, and then they keep trying to get at you, and like that's how bodies are in real life when they get shot.
I will say some of them kind of like fly back.
Yeah.
In a way, it seems a little cartoonish.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with you on that.
But
one.
that's like a nitpick.
A little nitpick. Yeah. But when they get shot like with the handgun, like they like stop for like a split second and then they like keep going and then they finally die.
Yeah.
But like that's all. Like once your adrenaline's pumped, like it gives you that last little bit of like
Yeah.
You know. So like I don't know. Like the violence is just done like really good in this movie, better than most movies.
Yeah. But yeah, so like Matthew Fox gets his hand cut off, and he basically tells him to give him like the dynamite. He's like, just give me the dynamite, like, and he's like, I'm not gonna live my life as a cripple.
Yeah.
Like, so he's accepted, like he's gonna die, and so I'm thinking like, okay, there's gonna be like he's gonna wait for a bunch of them to come, and that's not what happens. Like,
no, dude.
Like
it's very realistic.
Yeah, like
dude.
Kurt Russell and Richard Jenkins kind of fall back to kind of plan an attack, and like you hear a couple gunshots, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get attacked again, and Kurt Russell is like almost strangled to death, but basically just until he passes out.
Yeah.
And Richard Jenkins is like kind of like woozy. He's not completely unconscious, so he's still seeing what's going on. So they start getting dragged, and then closer to like the mountain, and where they see the cave, and they get dragged by Matthew Fox, and you just see like one of the bone tomahawks like in his head, like he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, so he wasn't successful in like trying to blow him up, whatever. And they get fucking roped up to the cave.
He takes out like one guy.
Yeah.
Right, but he ends up throwing the tomahawk at him.
Yeah.
And like that's where the scene ends.
Yeah.
So he like you think it's gonna be like, oh, he's gonna take out like 7 of them, and he ends up like killing one, but that same one ends up killing him too.
Yeah. But yeah. So like Kurt Russell and Richard Jenkins, they get roped up to the cave. And then it cuts to Patrick Wilson. It's like dark, like nighttime, and he wakes up.
So yeah, you're like, okay, there's hope.
Yeah.
This guy, there's one person there, and he's fucking crippled.
No, it doesn't cut to him yet. After they get dragged up, right? Because don't they get dragged up and then they get put in that like little cell, and
you finally get to see where they live.
Yeah.
And where they keep their prisoners and their food, I guess.
Does the deputy scene happen before or after it shows Patrick Wilson wake up?
I think it happens after, I want to say.
After?
Yeah, I don't recall, but I think it shows him waking up, and then it shows him like start on his journey there.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to the cave, I think.
Yeah, because it shows that his wife is still alive, and the deputy, he's still alive, but he's in pretty bad shape.
So yeah, they keep him in these caves. They're like these makeshift caves.
Yeah.
And there's a big fire in the middle.
Yeah.
And you finally get to see something that I've always wanted to see in a movie.
Really?
And it just surpassed my expectations. And it's the one thing that everyone that watches this movie is going to like remember.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's the one, like, this is, I've heard of, I told you, I think I mentioned it, like, a friend told me about this movie. And that's the first thing they mentioned. And I kind of wish they didn't mention it to me. Because I would have been like way better if I like went into it blind.
Do you not want to mention it then?
Let's just say they take the sheriff and they do something extremely fucked up to him.
Deputy.
The deputy, yeah. But it's so fucking graphic.
So graphic.
Like it's one of the gnarliest kills in cinema history.
Like
top 10.
Okay, I watched this movie. Like I was by myself. I was in my room. I watched it. I literally was like, oh my god, and I covered my mouth.
If you love gore, like this movie, I mean, that kill alone is worth the fucking entire movie, dude.
It was insane.
It's fucking brutal, dude.
It is. I couldn't believe it.
So they do something, I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but while they're doing what they're doing to him,
yeah,
like the sheriff, Kurt Russell's character, is like talking to him. He's telling him like, yeah, we got a bunch of them coming. We're gonna kill every single one.
The cavalry's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to give him hope while this like horrible shit is about to happen to this guy, and he's like talking back, and they scalp him before they do the unthinkable. Yeah. So like, a lot of like the impact that kill has has to do with Kurt Russell's reaction to it. It's very realistic where. After that kill happens, it cuts to Kurt Russell and he just has like this look of like hopelessness, and he just like looks away and he's just like like fuck, dude. Like like he's such a great actor, dude.
Yeah.
And like just like he didn't I don't think he says anything. He just that look on his face of like, yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Like he just saw what's gonna happen to him in the future.
All right. Before we move on to the ending, I kind of don't want to talk about how it ends.
I don't think we should either.
Like, I don't want to talk about if Patrick Wilson makes it. I don't want to talk about who lives and who dies.
Yeah.
Because I fucking love this movie.
The ending is
and I want people
great.
to see it.
Yeah.
Yes, the ending is incredible.
And there's such a beautiful line in this movie. And I don't want to say it because it kind of gives away something that happens.
Yeah.
But there's a line that just sticks with me, and I fucking like it goes back to Craig Zahler's fucking magnificent like dialogue, dude. Like,
yeah.
Like the old guy says something to Kurt Russell, like towards the end of the film, and with what Kurt Russell says something back, and I'm just like, fuck, dude, that was fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
And this is like after like all this gory shit happens, and there's like this little spot of like poetic writing in this like bloody mess.
Yeah.
And like that's the beauty of his movies, dude. Like you're not gonna get that with other films. Like with like John Wick and like all these other movies, like it's just strictly violence. There's nothing like good about it. Like I mean, not good. Like nothing. I don't know how to say it, like beautiful in the sense of like if it's writing. But this movie is legitimately beautiful, dude.
Oh yeah.
Like not even cinematography wise, like yeah, it looks gorgeous, the shots, everything, but just the writing, dude. And you feel like for these characters, and you feel bad for the situation they're in, and you're fucking rooting for all of them. So when something bad happens to one of these characters, it fucking like a little piece of your soul goes away, and you're like, ah, damn it.
Yeah.
And eventually they figure out, I don't remember how, I think through the deputy, they figure out how many of them they are.
Yeah.
I think he says like there's like 7 of them. So throughout the movie, you're kind of counting how many.
Yeah.
And it kind of pays off to know how many, like if you keep in count, because something happens at the end.
Oh, okay, I remember. It's the girl. They ask her how many there are, and the wife, and she says there's 12 total.
Okay.
And 2 females, but what she says is it's like there's 2 females that are pregnant and they're crippled. When they reveal the female, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's fucking it's like some Mad Max shit, dude.
Yeah. You guys, people need to watch this movie.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen this movie, you have to watch this movie.
I'm telling you, dude, underrated as fuck, dude.
Yes, like it's beautifully written, beautifully shot. Like the dialogue is so great. Like everything Eddie said, like I cannot recommend this movie more. Like it's so good.
Yeah, dude. Like I don't think there's much to say without ruining it.
Yeah.
So like, man, like me and you would talk about the ending after this. But yeah, this is a movie I always recommend to people. It definitely isn't a movie for everyone.
Yeah.
But I think everyone should give it a watch, because, like I said, man, once Craig decides to stop making movies, like it's gonna suck, dude. Because like I feel like this art form that he creates with like Dragged Across, Concrete, Bronze, Cell Block 99, and Bone Tomahawk, like art in cinema. Like I think people just like I mentioned this a million times in the podcast. Like they forget that it's art. Like it's supposed to make you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And I feel like his movies combined like shock with like randomness, with beautiful like moments. Like,
yeah.
And especially I think this is like his best film.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine like knowing that this is the first film he ever made, and it's this fucking good, dude.
I know.
It's mind blowing, dude. And like I cannot wait to see like what else this guy has in store for us, because his movies always like assault my fucking senses, and like to me these are just pure fucking art, dude. And everything about them, like they're just fucking great. But Bone Tomahawk especially, dude, like this movie, like I said, like I was kind of mad when I watched it, because I'm like, damn, this would have been cool to see in theaters.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Or like I said, like I don't ever hear people talking about this movie, and it's just super underrated. And I feel like he's an underrated director. Like I said, he has like 20 something scripts ready to go, but nobody wants to budget them because of the type of movies that he wants to create. Like, man, if I was rich, I would be like, here's a couple $1 million, dude. Like, do what you want to do. Like, pick the script you want to make, and I'll have your back completely, dude. Like, I hope he continues making movies. Because like he's definitely a director that I'm always going to be excited for to see what he has planned next, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I agree with everything you just said about him, you know? Even though I wasn't like huge on Dragged Across Concrete, and I kind of came around on Brawl. Bone Tomahawk alone is like, it gives me enough trust in him to be like, okay, I need to see what he does next.
They're definitely like, even if you don't like his movies, it's definitely gonna linger in your head for a while.
Oh yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Like even if it's like certain scenes.
Yeah.
Like I said, especially Bone Tomahawk. Once you watch that kill that me and Fidel like obsessing over, like it's never gonna leave your fucking head ever again.
Yeah.
Like when you think of this movie, like that's all you're gonna want to talk about, that fucking scene. And this movie, even if it didn't have that kill, this movie would have been perfect.
Yeah,
but that was
still,
just like the cherry on top.
Yeah.
Like especially like if you love gore and like practical effects and everything, like it's fucking brutal.
Yeah, so yeah, I would highly suggest watching all three of these movies. Mm-hmm. But yeah, went kind of long on this one, but I mean for good reason.
Yeah, I feel like director focus episodes are always gonna be long because it's a lot of movies in one. Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for sticking around. Hopefully you guys check these movies out. Let us know what you think. DMs are open, so hit us up. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at BetamaxULTD. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere you find your podcasts, you'll find us on there. And we'll see you next time.
Later.